Karibuni sana kwa Sports Studio KE, na hii show tunataka kuidedicate mainly kwa msee mmoja tu. Hii show tunaishoot sana juu ya msee mmoja, Bob Munroe. Bob Munroe ni founder wa Mathare Youth Sports Association, na yeye bado ndio founder wa Mathare United. Yeye ni ule msee mwenye bila yeye maplayer wengi wenye tunaona sahi kwa football industry yetu, ama wale tuliona kutoka wakina Oliech hadi huko nyuma, wase wengi wangekuwa either kwa jela ama wangekuwa alidedi. So Bob Munroe is a very prominent figure.
Tuseme anchor ni. Tuseme ni anchor yani.
Yes, ni anchor wa our footballing industry. Yes. So Bob Munroe alipass away na imekuwa kidogo ni hurting, na wase wengi wana feel wame lose. Me personally, being raised and born from Mathare, na feel nime lose. Nakumbuka kuna time hadi tukiwa watoi alifungwa Maisa walifungua library fulani pale Isili. Tulikuwa tunatoka chuo tunaenda pale kwa library, tunapata vitabu zote hapo tunasoma. Wow. Juma pero hawangeweza mapero wetu hawangeweza ku afford hizo ma textbooks na nini. So tulikuwa tunatoka Kiboro primary, tunaingia hapo kidogo Maisa tunasoma, alafu ndio tunaingia mtaa. Na kama unaishi ghetto yoyote hapa Nairobi, niko sure ghetto yenye huko kuna grao yenye inajiita Maisa. Watu wa Maisa, kiwanja ya Maisa, nini. Hizo zimekuwa vitu normal sana kwa day to day life za sisi wase wa ghetto.
Kwa hivyo affect kila mtu directly ama indirectly.
Manze juu kitambo nakumbuka hata tukiwa maboi. Maboi wengi walikuwa wanaingilia crime na nini. Lakini maboi wengi wale walipona. Maboi wengi wale walipona. Ni maboi walienda kucheza ball. Na hii ball haingekuwa ball bila Bob Munroe. Bob Munroe ndiye alikuwa msee wa kwanza kuangalia ghetto youth. Aliangalia ghetto youth na akaona hapana, akaona kitu different apart from crime. Na nielewa. So alikuwa ni
ya kushikilia an idle mind.
Manze. So huyo mzae amekuwa mzae true, na loss yake ni loss ya kila msee kwa industry ya football sana. Na kila ghetto youth najua mali popote huko, najua una feel pia hiyo loss.
Una feel hiyo loss.
Juu huyu ndio msee wa kwanza alipenda ghetto youth hata kabla msee mwingine yote atupende manze. So Bob Munroe amepata na bana, hata vitu amefanyia ghetto youth hawezi linganisha na zile vitu gava imefanyia ghetto youth. So Bob Munroe manze ni icon sana pale ghetto. Mainstream media na wapi anaweza kuwatambuliki, lakini pale ghetto si tunajua icon wetu tukiwaona. Big up Mathare Youth Sports Association, big up Mathare United. Manze maboy wetu wote wa ghetto wale tumelose manze, big up manze, na poleni sana kwa hii loss. So Bob Munroe kuna farewell program yake. Program yake ya farewell inaanza kesho on 24th January.
Friday.
On Friday
5 PM to 8 PM. Na fundraising drive.
Fundraising drive iko pale Komarok. Itakuwa pale
United Kenya Club.
Itakuwa United Kenya Club
United Kenya Club.
Nice. Hiyo ni
kesho. Tutokelezeni tu yani tupatiane numbers pale. Ule ni msee alikuwa msee wa watu, hata kama una wewe tukelezea tu. Yani presence yako pale ina bring a lot, inaleta hiyo impact ya what he did.
Manze na nashukuru pia gava ya Kenya manze, niliona this year gava imemrecognize ikampatia ile HSC the honor of state whatever ile medal fulani prezo na peanga, of which ilikuwa inakampia too late. Hiyo medal of honor ilikuwa inakampia too late. Ilikuwa inakam late sana juu. Ingekuwa poa kama Bob angepata hii medal, time angeweza kuenjoy akiwa pia kijana.
Unajua?
Unanielewa? Juu boy alikuwa Mcanadian, na hata tuna realize bado hata hakuwa na citizenship ya hii country. Nimesoma mahali kitu kama hiyo, sijui kama ni ukweli, but nimesoma mahali kitu kama hiyo. So
pia huwezi jua kali kwa interested ama hakuwa interested.
Labda hakuwa interested.
I think ukicompare na watu kaki na Atur Magayani na wani, huyo ni msee automatically
bana. So pia hiyo ni on Friday ni hiyo fundraising. Then the following day on Saturday on 25th on 25th kuna procession ya Bob Munroe inaanzia pale Lee Funeral Home, inapitia Mathare ikienda mpaka HQ huko Mathare Sports Association headquarters huko Komarok. Na huko ndio procession yake itaishia.
Na wase mazee hawa ndio wazonye, so ku keep time ni kitu yao. So 9 AM to 7 PM.
Kiamka saa 4:30 utapata procession ilishaenda. After hapo on Monday naona kuna hiyo
funeral church service.
Na hiyo church service itakuwa pale St Andrews Church. Hiyo ni Monday kutoka saa 3 asubuhi
to 1 p.m.
mpaka saa 7. So hiyo pia kama unajiamini ni poa uattend. Mi personally nadhani nita-attend. Nitakuwa hapo juu Bob Munroe. Mimi personally kwa life yangu nadhani ameni touch. Using kutumia hii show ya Sports Studio KE kupay homage kwa icon kama huyu, bado na feel proud na na feel so happy nimepata hiyo opportunity ya kuplay homage na I feel I need to do more. Sawa. So after funeral service kutakuwa na cremation ya body yake, itakuwa on Tuesday. That's on the 28th, itakuwa pale Koma, okay? Si Koma, itakuwa Kariako. Hapa Kariako Cemetery. Hapo ndio kutakuwa na
crematory. Kuna cemetery na kuna crematory.
Sina kwa area moja.
Ziko area moja.
So hapo Kariako crematory kutakuwa na hiyo cremation ya body yake. Nadhani hiyo ndio ilikuwa last wish yake. Na pia juu alikuwa mabeste sana na Wangare Maathai. Kuna documentary yake tutawaacha nayo akiongelea kuhusu relationship yake na Wangare Maathai and all that.
So itakuwa from 10 am to 11 am.
Hiyo cremation itakuwa 10 am to 11 am.
Mimi nawakumbusha time kwa sababu hao wazunye na hawa sena time. Ukichelewa kidogo unajikuta ni news unaambiwa.
So cremation itakuwa hiyo 10 to 11 na itakuwa pale Kariako, na wish yake nadhani ilikuwa ni hizo ashes zake ziko sprinkled Karura Forest. Juu Wangare Maathai pia amepigania sana hiyo forest.
True.
Najua alikuwa mabese, nadhani that's part of the reason waliamua hivyo. And then the other of the ashes itakuwa sprinkled Mathare Youth Sports Association huko HQ Komarok, kwa sababu huu ni birth child wake.
Alikufia yani
life yake yote ilikuwa ya Ghetto Youth, Mathare Youth Sports Association, Mathare United. So it's only logical and right ku sprinkle ashes zake pale kwa HQ. So that's the program. So guys, manze, sisi kile tunaweza sema kama Sports Studio KE ni pole sana kwa wasee wote wenye wamekuwa hurt ama wamekuwa affected na death ya Bob. Manze, sisi wote tumekuwa hurted, hadi hapa tumekuwa hurted kwa sababu tumegrow tukiona impact ya Munroe kutoka tukiwa wadogo mpaka tusahii mali tumefika. Maboy wote wa ghetto, players wote wale wamechezea hata Harambee nini, wakina wakina Teddy, yani wase wote manze
Ulich
na hata si sports,
watu wote unajua, yani
bana jo
mtu wote unatambua ukimention lazima amepitia pale Maisa.
Bana, na hata si sports peke yake. Kuna wase wengi wamelan vitu mingi sana kutoka kwa Bob. Hata tuko na our former MCA Mlango Kubwa, Mutheu manze, huu ni mse amekuwa mentored na amegrow pale Maisa, na sisi wote tumeona manze. So najua death ya Bob imeshika wase wengi, na kile tu tunaweza sema manze tu ni pole manze, kama Sports Studio ni tumpe last respect zake na tuseme tu pole manze, na tu hope sana God atatupea grace na strength ya kumove from this one. So manze, big up. Wacha tuache na hilo
pia tupre sana. Kuna mtu mwingine ameacha hiyo grace. Bana. Siku ameenda na hiyo grace manze, cause futa inanidi kushikiliwa
sana. Kwanza futa ya Kenya manze inafaa ishikiliwe, inafaa ipigwe support vibaya sana.
Sorry kwa sababu tutakama hapa na topic nyingine ya clubs zina anigi aje do. Ndio tujue hizi ma clubs zo survive aje. Ndio tujue impact alikuwa nayo au sio?
Bana manze. So manze, this channel ni mpya, kama unaweza manze subscribe. Juu unawachaje hii video kama huja subscribe. Wewe manze subscribe, like, comment, share na mabeste wako. Alafu tukutane kwa procession ya Bob Munroe kuanzia kesho. That's on Friday the 25th. Tutasukumana nayo mpaka mwisho, to make sure mzae amedoze poa. Na wase wote wa Maisa, Ghetto, Mathare United, Mathare Youth Sports Association, manze big up na poleni sana manze for your loss. Peace and out.
This ball is the most expensive football in the world by far. MISA were the global pioneers on linking sport for development. This was a development project that used football as a starting point. It would start generating its own leaders, who would then become the heroes and role models for the younger generation. Over here earlier is the UN conference on environment. So I had to write up the report of the results of our committee meeting. So that's late 60s. 70s, 80s, 90s. Environment and human settlements. And at the top, football, yes. It's 1995. I'm in wearing my other hat as an environmental expert, and I'm an advisor to the Southern African Development Community, SADC. So that's, at that time it was the 14 states of South Africa, of Southern Africa. It in fact didn't include South Africa because of the apartheid regime at that time. I put forward the equity-led growth strategy at a meeting of permanent secretaries of environment, but also of finance ministries and planning ministries from around Africa. And the first morning was terrible. Then we had a lunch break. One of the guys who was really hitting me hard was from Zimbabwe. And he came back after lunch and he took the floor, and I thought, uh-oh, here we go again. He's really gonna net him. And you know what he said? While I was at lunch, he said, I went into the bookstore downstairs after I finished my lunch, and I bought the latest issue of Reader's Digest, and I opened it up, and there's a picture of our consultant. And it's a story saying, Miracle in Mathare, and it describes what he's been doing in Kenya, in the slums in Kenya. And so this is not your usual consultant. He's not telling us what we should be doing. He's telling us something that he's already been doing, putting the poor at the center of the agenda, linking the sport and environment. And so I think we should take this more seriously, what he's proposing. Change the whole meeting. And so the Mathare youth, first of all, taught me about the real nature of poverty. And the real nature of poverty is not $1 a day or $2 a day. It's not a monetary measure. The real nature of policy is having lack of choices. MISA is the global pioneer and innovator on linking sport, Jualo footballs, with garbage cleanup, environmental cleanups, AIDS prevention. We've tied it to so many other issues as well. Anti-child labor, as you know, we've had a major program on that. And even gender violence and that in the slums. And setting up little slum study halls and libraries in the slums. This was a development project that used football as a starting point. Now there are hundreds of sport for development projects around the world. MISA is probably the only sports organization in the world where the league standings say games won, draw, lost, garbage cleanup, total points, where you earn points in the league standings when your team is cleaning garbage in the slums. And so that then cleaning your neighborhood became very popular with the youth, because it was one of the things that the adults really praised them for.
Nimewakaribisha sana pale katika sebule yao. Ilikuwa ni muda tu. Haya, bado. Jaribu kuingia tena kule hatari. Kwenda kule Mathare.
Unlike most coaches who are, or most chairmen who are watching players they've bought, I'm watching players where the majority of them we developed, and I've known them since they were 11, 12 years old, so it's a different experience. I realized that the most important thing I could do is not provide a football, but help them acquire a sense of self-belief, a sense of self-confidence. And I realized that if I could keep the organization going for a few years at least, it would start generating its own leaders who would then become the heroes and role models for the younger generation. Because I had in the 80s, there were no heroes and role models in the slums. There were drug dealers, and the only one who seemed to have money were the ones who were doing the wrong things, not the right things. But I think the biggest change we've made is in the thinking of the youth, who can look and say, there's Denis Oliech playing in France, or Wanyama playing in England, or Origi playing in Norway. And I can, if I work hard, maybe I can help my family through football, my football skills, to get out of Mathari and out of poverty. But they can look off the field as well. And Patricia Musimyi, now the elected MCA in the last election for Malangwa Kubo Ward. Edward Kanuthia, lawyers, and or even in music. You know, Sarabi, Afro fusion music. So now we have 130,000 or so alumni, many out there succeeding in different professions and careers. And I think that's the biggest change that we've made in Mathari. It's not well enough known, but this ball is, or one exactly like it, is the most expensive football in the world by far. In 2010, a Juala ball was given to Willy Lemke. Willy was then the advisor to the UN Secretary General, and he was the advisor on sport and development. And one of our members, Peter Ndolo, was in Germany, where he comes from, Werder Bremen, and he was doing some internships at the radio station. So he made a Juala ball for Willy. Willy, when he was next in New York, took the Juala ball and gave it to Ban Ki-moon. Ban Ki-moon then went to, in November that year, then went to the International Olympic Committee Congress in Copenhagen, and he made a speech about the importance of sport for development, and he held up Peter's Juala ball. And we have this lovely picture of him doing that. Then he gave the ball to Princess Haya, who was an ambassador for the IOC. She took it back and then put it in an auction for Palestinian children, and it sold for $205,000. They had Venus Williams shirts, they had Roger Federer shirts, they had even had Chelsea Football Club shirts signed by all the players. But what got the most money was the Juala ball, made in Mathari Juala ball. And that, the person who bought it, surprisingly enough, didn't keep it. He gave it back to Jacques Roga, the head of the IOC, and that Juala ball, the most expensive ball in the world, is now in the Olympic Museum in a special case in Lausanne. Here's the under-12 boys team. This is the under-14 girls team, and this is the under-16 boys team, and this is 2003. But in the middle of the under-12 team, there's this little white fellow. That's actually John Guidetti, who was added as an extra player because his father was teaching at the Swedish school here in Nairobi. And so he was added as an extra player, so he didn't take the place of a Kenyan Maisa youth, and played for Maisa in the 2003 Norway Cup. And he most recently featured in the Swedish national team in the World Cup. And Guidetti, if you Google him on Wikipedia, he talks about his time in Nairobi and playing for Maisa. He's very proud of it. And then in the back, interestingly enough, we also had the Haba Nahaba music group and drumming and dancing group with us. And there you see some of the music group members who later formed the Sarabi Afrofusion group. I think you'll find that a lot of these players, these under-14 players, have been featuring in the national women's team over the last few years as well. The Kenyan national team women that went to AFCON 2 years ago, 18 of the 24 players were from Maisa, and the entire technical bench. The coach, the assistant coach, the team manager, the equipment manager, and the physio. We're all from Maisa. Yeah, those are the old days, the good days. And it's still good days. although we have all these trophies, many trophies in the trophy cabinet, national trophies for competitions here, but also global trophies for the FIFA Football for Hope tournaments. That's still not the most important achievement of MISA. The most important achievement of MISA is creating the new heroes and role models for the next generation.